Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've made a video on the channel, and I'm really truly sorry about that, but I have a perfectly reasonable, realistic reason why I haven't been able to make any videos. I was abducted by a UFO.
I believe that the flying saucers are objects from another planet.
The Navy has no saucer-shaped aircraft or missile.
There's no good reason for keeping this secret for 3 decades.
The government's been lying about UFOs for 50 years.
Phoenix Forgotten is a brand new found footage movie. Yep, they're still making those. It is based on the real-life sightings of strange lights that appeared over the Phoenix, Arizona skies in spring 1997. Some people claim that they were just flares being shot off by a nearby army base doing testing and whatnot. Others, however, who saw the lights believe that they were attached to a larger object, and that's why they moved in such strange formation. Even to this day, it's not really known for sure what people saw in the sky that night. The movie is about 3 teenagers, the lead whose name is Josh, who disappeared in the desert near Phoenix, trying to find out what really happened, never to be seen again. Does that sound familiar to anyone, or is it just me? This film also shows us who put all this footage together. Hey, that's kind of novel for a found footage movie. They don't usually do that. You see, about 20 years after Josh and his friends disappeared, his sister came back to Phoenix to make a documentary about what happened to Josh, trying to find answers. Does that at all sound familiar to anyone? Like, even a little tiny bit? I'm just going to call them out right now because everyone else is going to bring this up who sees this movie. This movie takes a lot from the Blair Witch Project. And even a little bit from the reboot Blair Witch that came out last year. Which is fine. Blair Witch Project was a classic found footage movie. It's really well acclaimed. I can totally understand why they are taking some ideas from that movie. Totally legit. The thing is, they don't do anything really that new with it. Well, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Basically, what the movie centers around is mostly it's about this younger sister trying to find out what happened to her older brother by finding archival footage, like footage that he was taking of the Phoenix lights when they happened and the after effect when this kid would go out and, you know, interview people in the town to see what they thought those lights could be. Interviewing some of his friends, and even going out to places where the lights were seen above, you know, like the mountain ranges, to see if he could find any evidence. We see early on he's very obsessed with the idea of aliens and UFOs. We get a look into his room when his mom is showing the sister where some of this footage is, because it's one of those, like, you know, and I've heard this is real, so no problem with this. This is actually, as far as I know, a very real thing. I've thankfully never experienced a loss of a family member, but, you know, the mother, we see that she hasn't moved any of this kid's stuff in over 20 years, pretty much. Like, it looks pretty much the same. I've heard this is a real thing, so I'm not going to dog on that. It's actually kind of cool, because you get an idea of who this character was. You know, we see an X-Files poster, we see VHS copies of X-Files episodes and stuff on his counter. So we get the sense he's into this, you know, aliens and paranormal stuff and, you know, all this Area 51 and crop circles, UFO stuff. So that's a great setup for the character. Totally going with that. And that's something I liked about this movie. They did establish these characters, the 3 that went missing, pretty well. Well, I guess I should say 2 of them, because one of the 3, he doesn't have a character. He has nothing of a character. So really, they established 2 of the characters, and then the 3rd one's just like, and here's a 3rd one, cuz a 3rd one! So yeah, most of the movie is the younger sister putting this footage together in a documentary style, interviewing her parents, interviewing this friend of Josh's that he had a crush on, this girl, and her parents, and asking about who Josh was and stuff, and that's great for the first 25 minutes. It honestly sets up an interesting thing. It's like, okay, what happened to them? I mean, yeah, you know, it's a found footage horror movie, and back in my head I'm going, they were abducted by aliens, but I still wanted to see it happen. Until the interviews went on for about the next, oh, I don't know, 45, 50 minutes of a 90-minute movie. Yep. Yep, that's the pacing in this movie. And I'm not gonna dog on slow pacing, because slow pacing, when it's appropriate, is great. I mean, you know, to establish mood, atmosphere, and etc., etc. But there comes a point in this movie, because all it is interviews and, like, back catalog footage of Josh and his friends, you know, talking about, what do you think those lights were? And while it wasn't terrible in moments, as a whole, completed whole, it just came off as, honestly, an Unsolved Mysteries episode. It felt like something that I would see on a show like Unsolved Mysteries. In spring 1997, strange lights appeared over the night skies of Phoenix, Arizona. A week later, 3 teens vanished without a trace in the hills nearby, looking for evidence as to what they saw that night. What could have happened to them? Now, don't get me wrong, I love Unsolved Mysteries. That's a really, really interesting show. I've been watching it a little bit on Amazon Prime. It's on there. All the episodes, I believe all the episodes. I haven't actually looked that up, but it has several of the episodes, if not all of them. Anyway, the point is, that's a good show. The difference between Phoenix Forgotten and Unsolved Mysteries is, well, Unsolved Mysteries is about real people. That already makes it more interesting, because these are actual cases where strange things have happened, like strange disappearances. People have just vanished, no trace of them. No one has ever heard from them or seen them or ever found any evidence that they could be somewhere. And that's interesting. And yeah, they did do episodes about, like, crop circles or Stonehenge or alien abductions even. And whether or not you believe in that, that's not the point. In those episodes, it's at least about people who really do believe in that stuff, and it's interesting to hear them talk about it. And interesting for the, you know, for the show to explore what happened in these situations, what's really going on here, and that's cool. However, when I go to a movie, if most of it's going to be this fake documentary, that's not you. And that rarely works. Sometimes it can, but not when it's promoting itself to be a found footage horror movie. If it's promoting itself like, you know, it's going to be some sort of, like, I've seen a couple mockumentaries. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. Like, there's one that came out years ago that the only one that's come to mind right now. And it's this one on M. Night Shyamalan. I think it's called, like, The Secrets of M. Night Shyamalan. The thing is, that premiered on Sci-Fi Channel. So that's perfect place for that kind of stuff. And it's all about how he's actually believes in ghosts and stuff, and, you know, all his movies have little indications of this darker side of some dark past or something. And it's fun. It's meant for the fans of M. Night Shyamalan. It's pretty entertaining, honestly. But, you know, that aside, that's a mockumentary. So if Phoenix Lights wanted to do that, well, you gotta change up the tone then. And definitely don't promote yourself as a horror movie. Yeah, it's just, it didn't fit the movie. Just the meandering pace of that second act. The first act is totally fine. I love the setup of this movie. Well, you know, love is too strong a word, but I was intrigued by the setup of this movie, I'll say. And the ending, though I ended up not really caring about, well, one of the characters I didn't care about at all. Two of the characters I kind of cared because I got to know them enough. But I still knew what was going to happen, and they didn't. They didn't really. They established the characters, but they didn't establish them in an interesting way. I think that's the other big problem, that second act. You gotta establish them in an interesting way. You know, what. I would have been honestly okay if they copied the Blair Witch Project formula more. And the middle act was them getting lost in the hills. And eventually, you know, the aliens come, or the government, or whatever comes at the end. I'm not actually, well, okay, it's obvious. The aliens come. That's not even a spoiler, you know. That's like saying, hey guys, there's a guy with a chainsaw at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Weird. Or there's a demon in The Exorcist. basically what I'm talking about here is the writing mostly. That was, you know, obviously is the big major problem with this movie. And what I would have honestly preferred is if they just made this a period piece. Make it a period piece about the 90s. Who cares? It's 20 years ago. I mean, the only thing I could think of is the studio or someone thought, hey, kids nowadays may not really get into this. So, because, you know, they weren't alive in the 90s, so yada, 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 that's old to them. So we got to give them some kind of in, and so we'll have this modern day footage stuff. But it's entirely pointless because the younger sister who's putting this all together, the only thing she really does is find this other footage that wasn't known about. Because, and God, this writing this writing is so freaking, just contrived, and just coincidence upon coincidence is layered here. So try to follow this, if you will. So, in one of the interviews, she notices, she gets to the last footage that's available. She sees, you know, finds out that the camera was left in the car. The police, when they found this car on the side of the road, which was the teenager's car, there was still this camera there. And so she was like, well, my brother was attached to this camera. He was addicted to this thing. He never, you know, he wouldn't have left the car without it, especially if he's making something like this. So, would they have had a second camera? And everyone's saying, oh, there's no evidence that they did, whatever. She goes to the school, she asks someone who works there, hey, do you have records of anyone ever taking a camera out? And they're, you know, she doesn't know. But, you know, lucky her, this teacher, or they don't even say what she is, but I'm just going to say she's a teacher to make this easier to understand. This teacher happens to go to this warehouse in town to clean something out. I guess it's attached to the school. They don't say, but I'm going to assume, because it helps this a little bit. So let's say this building that's near the school. Maybe it's a part of the school. I don't know. Anyway, this room in the school, she's clearing stuff out. She finds this strange camera that has been sitting there supposedly for 20 years. And no one's noticed this. Now, we don't know how long the camera's been there. I'm supposing it's either been there 20 years or someone just put it there. Who put it there? Did the freaking Roswell aliens put it there? Did the government people from Area 51 put it there? I doubt it because they deny the footage that's found on the camera later. But I have no clue. Those are my only two guesses. That's all I got. So this camera's there, and it's obviously old. There's dirt all over it. It looks like it's been through hell and back. And they find this other footage. It has that girl, I forget her name, but the friend of Josh's handwriting on it. Oh my gosh, it's the missing footage. How did that camera get there? There's so many questions. So, because, spoilers for the movie, I'm going to just spoil the very last shot. We see that the camera ends up in the desert. That's all I'll say. The camera obviously ends up in the desert. Much like any other found footage movie, the camera is dropped at the end. And so, a camera, you know, and this is like cassette cameras, because it's the 90s, you know, like they have a cassette in there and everything. Okay, so, how the hell does a cassette last, God knows how long, let's just say that it wasn't out there for 20 years, but let's just say this was out there for a month even. That tape wouldn't last. In Arizona, like 100-degree heat, no. No, that thing would melt. Sorry, it would. It wouldn't work properly at the very least. And no, by the way, in case you're worried, the camera is not attempted, no one attempts to make the camera itself work, thank God. That would have been really stupid. But they do get the tape out, and that's what I'm talking about. But even so, how does camera get there? It's so coincidental that this teacher just happened to go into this warehouse or whatever, and happened to find this camera that no one else had apparently found there. Apparently no one had been in there for 20 years or however long. Freaking lucky that. It's not well explained. It's so contrived. And yeah, a lot of it is filler and lazy writing. And that's the unfortunate thing, because they have a cool premise. Honestly, I love movies about aliens and alien abduction. Fire in the Sky, that's a really good underrated one. About another, well, not another, because Phoenix Lights, there was no alien abduction around that. But, I guess that I know of. But it was about, this is about another supposed alien abduction that happened in Oregon, I think. It's been a while since I've seen the movie or read about it. But anyway, I mean, that stuff is cool. They're cool stories. They could have had an interesting one that would have even been, you know, alright, you know, 3 stars-ish. But the problem is that meandering middle. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's horrible and how dare they make this. I mean, I just wish the script was a little cleaner and they'd done a rewrite this. They tightened that middle part up. The directing's not bad. It certainly doesn't, I mean, it's a found footage movie, but it doesn't look horrible. And hey, guys, guess what? Modern day found footage movie, how many jump scares? 0. 0 jump scares. That's freaking nice. I was very surprised to find that. I was expecting at least 2 or 3, or at least a false jump scare. Nope, nothing. Which is very nice. Unfortunately, it's not played well. And that's my major complaint. It's just elongating stuff that didn't need to be made that long, where nothing happens, really. And it's just, you gotta establish characters in a little more interesting manner. And that's my big problem with it. If they had made this a period piece, or hell, even had the older sister at the beginning, you have that establishing, like, you know, it's her birthday, that's how they start off the movie, and then we get the sister, fine. Have that at the very beginning, where we have this older sister saying, hey, you know, this was the last time I ever remembered seeing my brother. This is one of the last or whatever she says. I think she says, like, this is was one of our last happy moments as a family before this, you know, he disappeared. Have that, and then have that set it up where she's going to be, like, setting this up and saying, I'm going to present to you. Maybe she's presenting to a crowd, presenting to a film festival. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. And presenting it and saying, this is what I have found happened to my brother and his friends. And then play it out. The rest should be only stuff in the 90s until maybe the end we cut back to the modern day. That would have been so much better. That's a better way to pace it. It would have made me more invested in the characters that actually were supposed to care about themselves. Because I kept worrying the whole movie, so is his sister going to go in the desert and find extra footage? Is she going to go in the desert and get abducted herself? What's going to happen? Nothing happens to her. She gets threatened by the government for snooping around. That's it. And not even threatened that harshly. It's more like, hey, don't follow this at all. Stop it. Okay. Still gonna do it. Sorry. Don't care. I mean, that's all it is, unfortunately. This movie's not so bad. It's kind of one of those, you know, kind of like I'd throw on in the background. Kind of like watch the first 20-30 minutes and watch the last 20 minutes and kind of, you know, do work during the middle part, edit a video or something. And just, you know, there are things I like. The acting is good, honestly. The acting is pretty good for a found footage movie. God, it's just that writing, and writing's so important, and it got boring in that middle. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. And that's because I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I think it's okay at times, and it's okay enough of the time for me to give it 2.5 stars, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing in some ways. Because it honestly had some potential that I saw in it, and it could have been interesting, but it didn't fully hit that mark. So that's my comeback review, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I tried to do that more in one take, so there's probably a couple flubs, but hopefully not too much. Yeah, I'm going to try to get more videos out. I'm really sorry. Part of it, in all honesty, no. In case you couldn't figure it out, I was not abducted by aliens, in case you were concerned. No, you know, just one thing led to another. It was like, I'm starting college this year, and also just videos. It was like a lot of editing went into my older videos, and so it was like it started to become tedious how much editing. I was editing like 30-minute, 40-minute videos because stuff would keep interrupting, or I'd mess up or whatever. So I'm gonna I'm trying to do this format in a little more, like, not so formal format. I mean, obviously make good videos, but, like, you know, leave in some stutters, because whatever, who cares? And hopefully that's interesting. Let me know in the comments. If you get annoyed by it, I will go back to editing. It'll just take me a little longer, but that's fine. But anyway, sorry it took me so long to get back to videos. More should be coming up soon. Fate of the Furious, I also saw that, so I'll get a review out for that. And I'm excited to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I'll probably be seeing that tomorrow. But yeah, leave some comments if you saw Phoenix Forgotten, or what. Here's a question: what's your favorite alien-based movie? And I'm gonna give it a caveat: it can't be Star Wars or Star Trek related. It has to be something where aliens come to Earth, and it can't be like some futuristic, like, well, I mean, okay, it can be futuristic, but it can't be like AI where all of humanity is dead or whatever. It's got to be something like Arrival or E.T. or Men in Black, something like that. Love that Men in Black's one of my go-tos. Anyway, yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.